Greetings, salutations, and all that good stuff. Welcome to the Militant Negro YouTube channel. My name is JB, and I am better known as the Militant Negro. Now, today I want to talk to you about an incident that happened a couple of days ago where Scott Michael Greene, who is 46, of Urbandale, Iowa, allegedly shot, killed, ambushed, executed two Des Moines, Iowa police officers, a Sergeant Anthony Beminio and an Urbandale officer, Justin Martin. Now, Scott Michael Greene, who is 46, as I said, he surrendered without a struggle to the Department of Natural Resources in Dallas County, 2 hours after he was named as a suspect in the shooting. He was transported to a Des Moines hospital with an unknown injury. Now, the police are saying that a series of leads and investigative tips led them to identify Mr. Greene as a suspect. Now, he's white, Caucasian, whatever you want to call it. My thing is this. The police in Des Moines, Iowa, captured Scott Michael Greene, the suspect in this ambush execution of these two officers, without a shot being fired. He was taken alive, aka Dylan Roof. If you remember who Dylan Roof is, that little young Caucasian cat who slaughtered those people in that church, the Episcopal Church. I think it was Emmanuel Episcopal Church. Just walked in there, worshipped with them for an hour or so, and then slaughtered them all. Walked out, got arrested, no struggle, no guns playing, no anything. He wasn't injured. As a matter of fact, they took his ass to Burger King on the way to jail. But anyway, Scott Michael Greene, arrested, not killed, not hurt, not harmed, not shot dead, like all the people of color who are unarmed and get executed for looking a certain way. This cat killed two police officers, and the police officers arrested him. That is amazing to me. Seriously, it's just amazing to me. The first cop who responded to reports of gunfire found the first cop, Martin, mortally wounded about midnight in an affluent suburb of Iowa capital. It's just, I don't know, it's just ridiculous to me that you could kill a cop in 2016 and get away with it only because of your skin tone. Had this cat been a person of color, he would be dead. You got cops in America shooting black, Negro, Latino suspects in the back as they run away, sitting in their cars as they're doing nothing, walking the street, riding bikes, sitting in public places, being accosted and assaulted and detained for doing absolutely nothing. Yet here is a white male who kills two cops in an ambush execution, and he gets arrested without a scratch. I'm just not understanding that, and I'm serious about it. I'm just not understanding it. I don't understand it at all. Scott Michael Greene, 46, turned himself into the police. You know, they didn't even have to go looking for them. He turned himself in, and he still doesn't get a beat down. Justin Martin is a 24-year-old Urbandale police officer, found gunned down in his patrol car outside of Urbandale High School at 1:06 a.m. 20 minutes later, Des Moines Police Sergeant Anthony Beminio, who's 39, was found shot in his car 2 miles away. Police described both of those incidents as ambush-style attacks, and video allegedly recorded Mr. Greene last month shows cops kicking him out of a high school football game for bringing a Confederate flag. In 2014, Mr. Greene was arrested for calling a man a nigger and threatening to kill him. Amazing. Seriously, this is amazing to me that in 2016, this Caucasian man can shoot down 2 cops, walk away scot-free, not harmed, nothing wrong with him. It's okay. Somebody please explain to me how this is okay. I mean, you just think about this, people. Just think about it for a minute. And yes, I am puzzled over this. The police coverage of it, the video that I saw of the man in charge of this investigation talking about it, was talking about how they were hurt, the community in Iowa, how they were hurt, disgusted, disappointed, amazed. And here I am, I'm thinking, well, how do you guys capture somebody like this and not kill him in the process? Because he just killed 2 of your own. He just shot down, slaughtered 2 cops in their cruisers. And you're not afraid that he's going to do the same to whoever approaches him? Whether he turns himself in or not, he could very well have been turning himself in order to suck in more victims. But he was not apprehended in any rough way because he, quote unquote, walked himself in and turned himself over. Now, I'm thinking all these cops in America, in cities in America, who slaughter and execute and shoot first people of color, even pregnant women, okay? Pregnant women in their homes with children around them. They shoot first and ask questions never. Here they go to arrest this guy and bring him in. How can you be scared of a pregnant woman in her home with her children around her and not be afraid of a suspect who has just ambushed and killed 2 armed police officers? And as the police like to say, a suspect who kills a police officer or a law enforcement officer or somebody who works in law enforcement is more of a dangerous threat to society, because if they will kill a cop, then they have no regard for other human life. Yet and still, these cops picked this guy up and did nothing dangerous or critical to him. He's allowed to be breathing. The list of people of color who had no weapons, were minding their own business, in no criminal activity whatsoever were they involved, who had been executed by cops is so long, I can't even compile that list. I can't sit down and come up with the names of all the people who have been slaughtered by police officers, law enforcement in the USA in 2016 alone, which I think is 960 something now. It's just ridiculous. I can't understand it. I know I keep saying that, but it boggles the mind. I remember the LA cop. I can't recall his name because my memory's bad. But this LA cop, a couple of years ago, was running around killing people because he got treated badly, and he was a Negro. He got treated badly by the LA Police Department. He was harassed, or he was bullied or something. Disciplined, he thought wrongly, whatever the case was. He took on a killing spree. Negro. Killed other police officers and some innocent bystanders along the way. And they burned his ass up in a cabin in the woods. Burned him up. They didn't try to talk him down. They didn't try to let him turn himself in. They didn't have any conversations for this gentleman. They burned the cabin down with him in it. Now, I don't have any sympathy for this cat because he was killing people, innocent people. He wasn't just killing cops who he had a grudge against. It's apparent that he had a grudge against the LAPD, but he wasn't just confining himself to killing cops. He killed their relatives. He killed innocent people along the way. So he deserved not to live. I'm not a death penalty advocate, but if you take a life, I don't see why great care should be given in not taking your life when trying to apprehend you. keep you from taking more lives. But this cat was burned alive inside this cabin. I thought that was horrible, even with what he had done. This is just something that I don't understand. It astonishes me. I'm astounded by how much care is taken with mass murderers like Dylan Roof. Kid Gloves. He's mentally unstable. He's a kid. But a person who gets shot down in the street with his hands raised because he's a person of color is labeled a thug. There's no way that this Mr. Greene is not a thug. There's no way that Fox News and all the other news media outlets should not be calling this guy a thug. But you know what? I haven't heard this incident mentioned much on media. I've heard it in YouTube videos. I see some foreign correspondent newspaper articles about this incident. I haven't seen anything in American papers or on American news outlets talking about this Des Moines, Iowa massacre of 2 cops. That's big. Now, had it happened in New York City and somebody of color had been involved, like what happened, it's all over the papers. This is a Black Lives Matter cat. He's a Black Lives Matter supporter. He's affiliated with Black Lives Matter. Well, who is this man affiliated with? Who is Mr. Greene a supporter of? Carrying a Confederate flag and calling somebody a nigger would mean to me he's affiliated with some KKK group or some Nazi group or some skinhead group or some racist organization. But that's not being discussed or talked about or played up by the media like these massacres that we had in New York City where the cat was black. Nothing is being said about Mr. Greene's affiliation with a racist organization, just that in 2014 he was arrested for calling somebody a nigger. He was brought to the attention of law enforcement because he was carrying a Confederate flag at a football game. We just don't understand how the mind of a Caucasian racist works, but I'm telling you people, this world we live in is revolving around racism. Race drives everything that happens in the United Slave States of America. That's the way it is. Our presidential election, right now, going on November 8th, the pre-election rhetoric is all about race. It's all about killing people in other nations who are not Caucasians, third worlds, Middle East. War is waged on those people because the Caucasians think they're inferior and don't have any business running their own nation because they're not Caucasian. Donald Trump, a racist to his bones, has said some things that any other presidential candidate would be run out of town for saying. Let Barack Obama say that Mexicans are rapists and he's going to build a wall to keep them out. And he'd be lynched by now. Seriously. Hillary Clinton, as bad as she is and as racist as she is, has enough sense to kind of tone down her racism. She didn't do that in 2008. She was all racist against Barack Obama. But she learned the lesson. She didn't win that election because people saw her evilness and her racism. So this time, she's a little bit more quieter. Not as racist. A little bit laid back. Even though she's still a criminal and an idiot and evil, racism is what makes America what it is. A place that many people around this nation's peripheral vision, all those countries, everywhere else around the world, don't like Americans. They just don't like Americans. You have to ask yourself why. And again, I'm just astonished that Mr. Greene can kill 2 police officers and turn himself in. The mugshots I see of him, he has no bruises, no black eyes, no contusions, no scratches. Just like he went for a walk in the park, decided he was going to slay 2 police officers, and when he was done, when he found out they knew his name, okay, time for me to turn myself in. I've had my fun. The core problem with America's law enforcement and justice system it's a double standard. And they're not afraid to use the double standard. Cops kill people of color. They don't get indicted. And if they get indicted, they get cleared. Ridiculously cleared. Like they're so blatant in the double standard that the justice system uses that they don't even try to hide it. Now, let's take, for instance, the Bundy takeover of the Natural Resources Wildlife Park facility, a federal facility. Those cats went on trial, armed with weapons, took over a federal facility, did not allow any federal law enforcement agencies or local law enforcement agencies on the property that they were illegally occupying, and they all got off scot-free, acquitted. Every last one of them. I don't know what happened to the Bundy leader, Mr. Bundy. I don't know what happened to him yet. Because to be honest, I'm not following that crap very closely because I know what's going to be the outcome. They're going to get off scot-free. So these people go in armed with weapons, take over a federal facility, federal land, making it a federal case, and they're allowed to stay there for over a month. Now, the Standing Rock Sioux and all the tribes who are joining them in protesting North Dakota Access Pipeline running through their tribal sacred grounds, those people are shot with rubber bullets. Fires are set to their property. They're accosted, arrested, pepper sprayed, locked up, handcuffed, hog-tied, taken away. Peaceful protesters now. Understand me. These are peaceful protesters, and not all Native American. There are Americans of all races and colors, cultures, and whatever, religions, going down there to stand with the Sioux. They too are being arrested. Shot with rubber bullets. These are people who are unarmed. It appears to me that the American law enforcement community is scared of people who are armed and don't do anything to them, but the ones who are unarmed, they bully them. I'm just tired of all this, man. I'm tired of hearing this stuff in the news. I'm tired of seeing racism just being waved in our faces like a Confederate flag. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to do anything. You can go out and kill people if you're Caucasian, and you might get jail time. You might get a slap on the wrist. You can rape and assault people if you're a Caucasian. You might get probation. You can run over people with your car, drunk as a skunk, and you might get probation. I gotta go. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Be well. Stay safe.